Ring IQ TV proudly joined by Mr. Yakoob, one of the best criminal lawyers in the UK and also the director of Morris Andrews Solicitors here in Birmingham. Now I know you just come back from Pakistan the other day, so thank you for taking the time out and speaking to us. How was your trip and how you been keeping?
Trip was amazing, alhamdulillah, very refreshing. I went to Saudi first, performed Umrah, which is a mini pilgrimage, 2 days. Then I went back home to Pakistan, Kashmir, that's where I'm from. Spent some time with my mum and dad. Good time, had a good time.
Now I know you're always working. Was you working out there? Did you?
I'm always working,
pure
always
relaxation.
working. I'm always working, I was working.
You're working, so you're back now, nice and fresh. I wouldn't normally...
I don't look fresh.
You look fresh, fresh, so I'm going to lie. Now, I wouldn't normally interview a person who works in your field, but there's a first time for everything. As you're all aware, Bomac McIntyre, the trainer of Crawford, and Chris Eubank Jr. was arrested last Sunday at 10:45 a.m. He was returning home back to the US, and airport security in Manchester found a firearm in his hold luggage. What are your thoughts after hearing that about the situation?
My initial thoughts are, where did it come from? Where did the firearm come from? And if it was Brian's, how was it not detected on the way in? Are the security on the way in that negligent? British security begs the question, doesn't it? So we don't know. If it was his, how did it go undetected? And if it wasn't his, how did it get there? Did someone set him up? Did someone else put him there? Don't know. We will find out sooner or later.
There are obviously a few scenarios of what could have happened. Do you think the US security back at the airport he flew from, are they to blame, or was all the blame on Bomac?
No, it could be the US security, and on top of the US security, it could be the British security as well, because he bypassed both of them. If it was his and he bought it from America, he's bypassed both the securities. So both could be to blame, and he could be to blame as well. I mean, it could be accident, it just left in his luggage, but the thing is, why has it gone undetected? That's the main question I would ask, you know. Could be that it's from here. we don't know.
That is literally what I'm coming to. If it is his and he's got a license for it and a permit and he's bought it here, would he still get a punishment? I mean, what are the laws around firearms in the UK?
Well, firearms, some of them are not illegal. You can possess a few firearms, for example, a shotgun, or guns that are used for hunting purposes. With a certificate, you can have them. For example, I live on a countryside area, and there's loads of people who've got shotgun licenses, and there's loads of people who've got shotguns in where I live. But that particular gun, I don't know which one it was, but I've heard it's a handgun. Now that's an illegal firearm, you know. You can't have it in the United Kingdom. Only security forces, and I'm sure police can have it. Other than that, we can't, member of public can't have that gun in the UK. I don't know what the laws around it in the United States are, but I'm assuming if it was his gun, then it would have been his legitimately, and he's probably got a license to have that back there, but it won't apply here.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Here it's still illegal.
And that is why he's in this mess.
That's why he's been charged and remanded. I don't know what's happened at the police station interview. I'm sure we'll find out in the future.
There was also,
I might come to represent him, I don't know.
There was also ammunition found as well.
I've heard it was loaded.
Yeah.
But we're only going by the reports that are in the newspapers, to be fair. And they're not always accurate. I've had experiences with newspapers have said something else, but something else has happened, and I know the truth about cases. So, for example, I represented someone recently for having a gun with intent to endanger life, and the article was that the West Midland Police have taken a firearm off the streets, but no firearm was ever recovered, and my client in the end pleaded guilty to an imitation firearm. So you don't know, you can't believe whatever the media says. You know, it's not gospel.
Obviously, how would it hinder his case if he had ammunition? compared to-
It'll make it more serious, yes, in terms of the sentencing. It'll make it more serious.
Now, I heard it's 6 months per bullet. Is that true, or is that lies?
That's not lies. I mean, there are cases that has been done, but it's not written in stone that will happen. But there are cases that the sentence can get uplifted because of the bullets. But it's a 5-year mandatory minimum.
Minimum, so he'll get minimum 5 years.
5 years, yes,
Yeah.
say 5 years, yeah.
So, looking at another scenario, if the gun was bought from the UK and he wanted to take it back, is that more serious than the first scenario?
Yes, then it's importing, trying to export and transferring a firearm. Then it's not just possession of it, and then that could carry up to about 12 to 15 years.
And would they dig deeper to see, obviously, where the guns come from?
Of course, they'll do a full investigation into where they come from. It's a gun, man. It's not normal here in the United Kingdom. It's not normal just to have firearms on, yeah.
So obviously that would be a worse scenario for him. Also, you mentioned earlier as well, and I've seen comments about this as well on social media. Say if the gun was actually planted in his suitcase, would that be...
When I read the article, I'll be honest with you, because I am always an optimist. I've got a defensive mindset, and my first impressions were that he's been set up when I read the article, because that's when I found out about it from the media, as like yourself. So my first impression was that it's been planted. God knows. We'll find out, innit?
If it was, would he walk away a free man then?
If that gun was planted, Bomac will be walking, and I'll make sure of that. Because there's a defence for every offence.
Even this offence, yeah?
Of course there is. Technically, there is no defence in law for possession of firearm offence. Technically, it's a strict liability offence. If you got it, you're guilty of it. You get it. There's no two ways about it. But if it was planted, and those are the instructions given to me as his representative, hypothetically speaking, I would make sure that he's a free man and he goes back to his family in America, USA.
Would you encourage more people to do their research before travelling to these countries?
Of course, no, but now you're making assumptions that he came with the gun. We don't know. But if he did, hypothetically speaking, then yes, they should do more research before travelling with firearms.
And is there a possibility he can serve his time back home, or would he have to do it
No,
in the UK?
there are cases where repatriation is called, where you are repatriated back to your country to finish your sentence off, but you tend to save most of it here before you are sent back.
So would that be a possibility later on in his sentence?
Later on in his sentences, yeah.
Yeah. He has obviously a court hearing on the 9th.
That will be his plea and trial preparation hearing, where
so
he is required to either enter a plea of guilty or not guilty.
Right.
And if he enters a not guilty plea, then he'll get adjourned for a trial. And then if he pleads guilty, then it will get adjourned for sentencing purposes.
I doubt he'll ever be back in the UK again after this. Would he get stopped? Is this a ban for life after this? Or is there a way of coming back?
Depends, and if he gets found not guilty and he walks free from court, then he'll be okay.
And if he was guilty?
If he was
would that
guilty,
be-
then yeah, it'll probably make his life difficult. They'll probably put some sort of ban on him or something.
In all of this, in this whole situation, and this whole scenario, what is the best case for him? What would the best case be?
The best case for him would be if he actually had been set up. You know, if it was his gun, then unfortunately, I think he will be serving a custodial sentence.
And what would the worst...
Ignorance and negligence is not a defense, isn't it? It may be mitigation, but it's not a defense.
And what would be the worst scenario?
Worst case scenario could be like a double figure sentence. And best case scenario could be walking out.
And that would be if he was found to buy the gun here. That would probably be the worst scenario.
Yeah, worst scenario.
In your honest opinion, what kind of trouble is he in?
My honest opinion, I can't give an honest opinion at this moment in time because I've only seen media articles, and the media always tend to make things more serious than they already are. They exaggerate. So I'm not going to make any form of opinion at this moment in time, but I will later on, because like I said, I am one of the most well-known lawyers in the whole world, and people have made contact with me about this case, so I can't really discuss it too much. If you get what I mean. The most important thing I would say or encourage to all your viewers, my viewers, is to remember that there's a defense for every offense.